Hello, my name is Mark Goodacre. I'm sitting in my office at Duke University at the moment, and we're moving to Luke's Gospel in My Jesus and the Gospels course at the moment. And I've always been intrigued by Luke's prologue. He's the only one of the Synoptic Gospels that begins with a dedication and some reflection on what the purpose of the Gospel is. And it's always interesting to ask the question. People often ask me, what does Luke give away about his source material there? Because he does say that many have done what he's doing. Many have written gospels, lives of Jesus. And is this just Luke exaggerating? Is he prone to exaggeration? I mean, really, were there many? I mean, I tend to be a bit of a minimum sources person myself, and I'm prepared to commit to Luke having known Matthew and Mark. I wonder how many more there were. I I'm willing to bet that even though we have lost quite a lot of works from antiquity, that Mark is nevertheless a hugely important milestone in early Christianity. I think it became popular really quickly. The way that Matthew and Luke just embrace Mark and use Mark is kind of telling. And we know that Matthew was hugely popular in the second century as well. So I think that it makes its way to Luke, Matthew's gospel does, and Luke is massively influenced by that. So I like to think that we can at least name two of his sources. He does use this word as well, narrative, diegesis in the Greek, which to me does suggest that when he's thinking about his source material, he is thinking about books like Mark and Matthew that are narratives of the events that have been fulfilled. Now, there's one other fascinating clue in the prologue that's not often commented on. He doesn't really say that he's been looking at other gospels. He doesn't say he's been looking at other sources or other accounts. He says he's been looking at accounts of the events that have been fulfilled among us. Fulfilled. I think that's fascinating that he uses that word because of all the ancient works we know that talk about Jesus fulfilling scripture, the most prominent one is Matthew's gospel. Matthew repeatedly talks about these things happening in order to fulfill the scriptures. So is that Luke's little nod to one of his sources? Does it show us that Luke thought about Matthew as the gospel that is all about the fulfillment of scripture, something that he then takes into his own gospel and spins in a slightly different way? I like to think so.